Well, guys, it is now time for my Week 4 picks of the 2024 NFL season. As, of course, last week, if you'll just grab it, I went 8-8 once again, which was very unfortunate. Can never get a break once again. Feels like regular years doing this series. And, of course, here is the regular season. The playoff stands at the season end of the day. In the AFC, it's the Steelers with the bye, with Raiders at Bills, Chargers at Chiefs, and Jets at Texans. And the NFC, it's the Vikings with the bye, with Lions at Seahawks, Eagles at Saints, and Buccaneers at Commanders. And my Super Bowl prediction right now is the Bills over the Vikings. Alright, so now we get to our Week 4 picks. Starting off on Thursday night with an NFC East matchup with the last place on the line, as it's the Cowboys at the Giants. The Cowboys won the last 6. The Giants haven't beaten them since 2020, as whoever loses this will be guaranteed last place, so both of them are trying to desperately avoid that spot. So anyways, the Cowboys got embarrassed by the Ravens, even though they made that massive comeback in the end. It was just an ugly game, as Dak Prescott had his stats at the end, as they are not looking good to start the year. Meanwhile, the Giants actually did an impressive victory against the Browns. And Daniel Jones, 2 games in a row, he actually played good as someone who craps on him regularly. Now, of course, last year, remember, the Cowboys swept them and they obliterated the Giants. So you never know what could happen, because the Giants seem to be the last 2 weeks playing better now. Could this be an upset in the works to get to 2-2? Not sure on that. I can see it going either way, but I think I'll pick the Cowboys for this one, with their no-run offense, pretty much. Alright, then we get to the Sunday games. Starting off with the Saints at the Falcons, as the Saints won the last one. The Falcons haven't beaten them since 2023, and the Saints, they haven't won at home again. No, the Saints haven't won in New Orleans since 2022, I mean to say. As this also potentially could be the NFC South lead on the line, depending on what happens with the Buccaneers. Anyways, the Saints took a step back last week as they lost to the Eagles in a defensive struggle, as their offense couldn't do anything, and their defense did all the work, but they couldn't get the job done. Meanwhile, the Falcons, once again, their defense did the job most part, shutting down the Chiefs, but their offense just couldn't get the job done in the end, as Kirk Cousins played very mid and all that. As this game could go either way, but I'm still going to trust the Saints on this one. And then it's the Bengals at the Panthers for the first time since 2018, as the Bengals won the last one. The Panthers haven't beaten them since the 2018 game, and the Bengals haven't won in Charlotte since 2010. As the Bengals try to avoid 0-4 for the first time since 2019. So, the Bengals, now they've lost 3 in a row to start the year off. They lost a high-scoring game to the Commanders, and once again, Burrow played very good, but the team could not get the win in the end, as the team's defense is the major problem, as we can see, as it is just not doing anything whatsoever. That defense is terrible. Meanwhile, the Panthers, after switching out Andy Dalton, all of a sudden, they played very good, like I told you all last week to watch out for. And they cooked the Raiders to get their first win of the year. All of a sudden now, you got to take them more seriously and not necessarily look at their stats. But I'm still going to pick the Bengals for this one. But hey, after what Andy Dalton did, hey, he's got to play his former team too. You can't underestimate the Panthers at the moment. Maybe they got something going, but we'll see. And then it's the Rams at the Bears for the first time since 2018. As the Rams won the last 3. The Bears haven't beaten them since 2018, and the Rams haven't won in Chicago since 2003. As the Rams got an unbelievable victory last week when they were getting cooked by the 49ers, and they were being outplayed, they somehow willed themselves into an unprecedented victory. A huge victory, too, that they really needed to save their season despite all their injuries, even though they have one of the worst defense in the league. Meanwhile, the Bears, once again, had a chance to beat the Colts, but they choked it as their offense was horrendous. Caleb Williams finally started to throw touchdowns, but he still so far has not been that impressive. The only thing saving the Bears is that they at least have a good defense, and I'm going to pick the Bears for this one. But hey, I can't be underestimating the Rams after that impressive comeback victory they had. And then we get to a big NFC North matchup with that division's lead on the line, as the Vikings are at the Packers. The Packers won the last one. The Vikings haven't beaten them since 2023. And the Packers haven't won at home against them since 2022, as the Vikings try to go 4-0 for the first time since 2016. So the Vikings completely and utterly destroyed the Texans, like 34-7 or something like that, as they are 3-0. Sam Darnold, the guy who I thought was going to make the team terrible, is actually playing like the best quarterback in the league right now. Unbelievable. unprecedented turnaround so far. Meanwhile, the Packers spanked the Titans with Malik Willis also played very good game manager role. As once again, Jordan Love is still not fully sure if he's going to be playing this week or not. Possibly a third week in a row where he's injured. But you know what? Even if it is Malik Willis playing, I'm actually going to pick the Packers for this one. But I guess I wouldn't be surprised if the Vikings win because they've been surprising so far. But I'm going to pick the Packers regardless if Love plays or not. Alright, then it's the Jaguars at the Texans. As the Jaguars won the last one. The Texans haven't beaten them since 2023. And the Jaguars haven't beaten the Texans. The Texans haven't won at home against the Jaguars since 2021. As the Jaguars try to avoid 0-4 for the first time since 2021 as well. As the Jaguars got completely and utterly destroyed by the Bills. As nothing's going right for them. And of course, meanwhile the Texans got obliterated by the Vikings. I wasn't necessarily expecting that, as they got cooked. But hey, they're going to be against a division foe that is just reeling really bad. I'm going to pick the Texans for this one. Alright, then it's the Steelers at the Colts for the third year in a row. As the Colts won the last one, the Steelers haven't beaten them since 2022. As the Steelers try to go 4-0 for the first time since 2020. So the Steelers, with their elite defense, shut down the Chargers to give them their first loss of the year. As they are number one in the league right now and easily lead the AFC North at the moment. As the Colts, meanwhile, they beat the Bears to get their first win of the year, but their defense, although they played pretty good last week, still has a lot of issues. But Richardson, he's thrown like 2 touchdowns to 5 picks in the last... Actually, no, I don't think he threw a touchdown last week at all, so that's like 1 touchdown to 5 picks. He's not doing good at all after starting so well in week 1. It's starting to get concerning now. Now, of course, these two played each other the last 3 years at Indy, and they split it. Both the Colts had a hard-fought game in 2022, but the Steelers got it despite the problems, and the Colts destroyed the Steelers last year. The problem is the Colts are kind of a bit of trouble right now. They got to go up against one of the best defenses in the league, especially how Richardson's playing. That's a big concern. But I know they could play well against the Steelers. Man, this is a tough one, but I think I'm going to have to pick the Steelers for this one because at least they have the elite defense, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts get because they can do it. Alright, then it's the Broncos at the Jets for the first time since 2020. As the Jets won the last 2, the Broncos haven't beaten them since 2021, and the Jets haven't won at home against them since 2018. As the Broncos destroyed the Buccaneers. What? They obliterated the Buccaneers. An impressive victory, as Bo Nix finally played good for once. Meanwhile, the Jets completely destroyed the Patriots last Thursday night, as they're 2-1 right now, as both teams have pretty much elite defenses almost help them out, except their run defense is bad. But yeah, I think come down to the quarterbacks, and Aaron Rodgers is actually playing good. Bo Nix is still not really that good right now, so I'm going to pick the Jets for this one. And then it's a big NFC South matchup, a rematch of the wild card round last year, as it's the Eagles at the Buccaneers for the second year in a row. As the Eagles won the last one, the Buccaneers haven't beaten them since 2021, and the Eagles haven't won in Tampa. No, they haven't beaten the Eagles in Tampa since 2018. As the Eagles hard-fought defensive victory against the Saints, as they really did need that with the Commanders taking the lead in the division at the moment. Although Hurts has not played that good this year, but he was very efficient last week, even with the interception, no touchdown. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers got completely obliterated by the Broncos, as they've not looked good these last 2 weeks, with midfield being literally midfield and such like that. Thank God he had that first game to help pad his stats a lot, as the Buccaneers are kind of reeling. So, of course, it's going to come down to who you trust more. And this might be a bold choice, but I think I'll still take the Buccaneers for this one. But I guess I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles get. After all, they did beat them in the regular season last year. And then we get to the 4 p.m. games, starting off with the Commanders at the Cardinals for the first time since 2020. As the Commanders won the last one, the Cardinals haven't beaten them since 2020, and the Commanders haven't won in Glendale since 2018 when they were the Redskins. So the Commanders, of course, how about that convincing victory against the Bengals as they're 2-1 and lead the division, as once again, Jaden Daniels, best rookie quarterback so far in a landslide, as they have a pretty good offense, although their defense is really bad. Meanwhile, the Cardinals, tough, hard-fought game against the Lions, but they couldn't get the job done as they're 1-2, as both teams actually have pretty solid offenses going away. This could go either way. And this might be a tough one, but I think I might trust the Commanders more in this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Cardinals get it. Meanwhile, after that, it's the Patriots at the 49ers for the first time since 2016, as the 49ers won the last one. The Patriots haven't beaten them since 1996, and the 49ers haven't won at home against them since 1995. So the Patriots, of course, got destroyed by the Jets, as they have the worst offense in the league other than rushing it. As the 49ers, how did they do that? How did you do that? You cooked the Rams the entire game, and you somehow lost. You can't blame Turdy Purdy on that. He played good. How did you lose that game against the Rams? They're 1-2 to start the year. Definitely suffering a Super Bowl hangover and Madden curse at the same time. As McCaffrey, I don't know if still able to play yet. Not looking good, but hey, they're playing one of the worst offenses in the league, so they should be able to get this, as I'm going to pick the 49ers for this one. And then it's a big AFC West matchup, as it's the Chiefs at the Chargers. As the Chiefs won the last 5, the Chargers haven't beaten them since 2021. They haven't won at home against them since 2013 when they were in San Diego. And the Chiefs are trying to go 4-0 for the first time since 2020. So the Chiefs, they're 3-0. They beat the Falcons. Mahomes finally had a good game, but I'm still not fully convinced on them. They're like barely winning their games pretty much. Not very impressive. Meanwhile, the Chargers lost to the Steelers after Herbert suffered an injury in the game, and so far it looks like we're not even sure if he's going to be playing against the Chiefs. Chiefs this week. They still have a really good defense, but man, there's a lot of concerns about them going to this game. And this is a really tough one, because I know Herbert and against the Chiefs plays pretty well usually, but I think going against probably my better judgment, I think I'm going to have to pick the Chiefs for this one, but I guess I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers get it. But it's going to come down to if Herbert plays, because that's going to be the deciding factor probably, but I think I'll still pick the Chiefs more at the moment. And then it's the Browns at the Raiders for the first time since 2018, as the Raiders won the last 4. The Browns haven't beaten them since 2014, and they haven't won in Oakland since 2012. Or Las Vegas, I mean to say. So the Browns, of course, lost to the Giants after playing so good at the beginning of the game. And Watson played good, but that deep O-line was horrendous, as they sacked into oblivion. Definitely didn't help them. Meanwhile, the Raiders got obliterated by the Panthers. Definitely not a good sign there, as the Raiders are reeling pretty bad right now. And I think, probably a tough one, I think I'll pick the Browns for this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders get it. And then we get to Sunday night, big matchup with the top 2 teams in the AFC last year, as it's the Bills at the Ravens for the first time since 2022. As the Bills won the last one, the Ravens haven't beaten them since 2019, and they haven't won at home against the Bills since 2018, as the Bills try to go 4-0 for the first time since 2020. So the Bills, completely destroyed the Jaguars on Monday night, of course. No surprise there. They probably are like one of the best teams in the AFC. If not now, looking like the best team in the league at the moment, although their offense, is a little bit like more good instead of elite. Meanwhile, the Ravens completely spanked the Cowboys, even though they almost choked at the end, because so far these Ravens, their defense is horrendous. Their defense is really holding them back, because their offense is actually playing pretty good. Be interesting to see how this game goes out, but I think I'm going to pick the Bills for this one. And then we get to the 2 Monday night games, which I hate that they're doing. Meanwhile, first up is the Titans at the Dolphins for the second year in a row. Once again, Monday night for these two. Maybe we'll get their incredible Monday night game last year. Anyways, the Titans won the last 2. The Dolphins haven't beaten them since 2018. The Titans, meanwhile, got spanked by the Packers. At first, Will Levis played good, but then he crapped the bed near the end with all the interceptions. Meanwhile, the Dolphins got destroyed by the Seahawks, as nothing's going right for them. The Dolphins last year had the best offense in the league. They have the worst offense in the league at the moment. Just terrible, terrible, terrible. And honestly, I think I might pick the Titans for this one. After all, they did beat the Dolphins last year. The Dolphins offensively look like the worst team in the league at the moment. Even that's what the Patriots too. And then we get to our final game, the big one in the NFC, as it's the Seahawks at the Lions for the 3rd year in a row. As the Seahawks won the last 5, the Lions haven't beaten them since 2012, as the Seahawks try to go 4-0 for the first time since 2020. Meanwhile, the Seahawks spanked and destroyed the Dolphins, as the Seahawks, in terms of stats, actually look like one of the better teams in the NFC, but I'm still not fully trusting them because Geno Smith has not been playing good so far this year with all the interceptions last week. Meanwhile, the Lions had a hard-fought game and beat the Cardinals, as again, just like with week 1, they're getting a lot of yards, but they're not getting a lot of points. That's the problem with them so far. This could be a wild game. The Lions are better, but the Seahawks have always beaten the Lions the last 2 years when they visit them. So, it's interesting to see. Maybe it'll be another high-scoring game like the last 2 times are. But this time around, I think I'm going to pick the Lions for this one. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks do it. Alright, so those are my Week 4 picks. I cannot wait for Cowboys at Giants tonight. So my picks, of course, are the Cowboys over the Giants, the Saints over the Falcons, the Bengals over the Panthers, the Bears over the Rams, the Packers over the Vikings, the Texans over the Jaguars, the Steelers over the Colts, the Jets over the Broncos, the Buccaneers over the Eagles, the Commanders over the Cardinals, the 49ers over the Patriots, the Chiefs over the Chargers, the Browns over the Raiders, the Bills over the Ravens, the Titans over the Dolphins, and the Seahawks over the Lions. Alright guys, so see you all next time for my Week 5 picks.